Hello there. Welcome to the Imperium Imaginarium. I am your humble host, the Gentleman Commissar. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's competition time once again. As ever, I will be giving away a Games Workshop gift voucher for 20 English pounds. If you would like to take part in this exciting competition, then stay tuned to the end of the show for more details. But try not to skip ahead, as you may miss out on some great content, such as the subject of today's video, the big blue boy himself, Raboute Guilliman. I'll be giving him a bit of a twist, both figuratively and literally. Now don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And why not hit the bell icon to stay notified of all future content? So with that little preamble out of the way, let's crack on, shall we? Strategist, hero, avenging son, Raboute Guilliman is the Primarch of the Ultramarines, Lord of Ultramar, and a peerless leader of men. He seeks to muster the strength of the Imperium and drive back the minions of the Dark Gods. Towering over even the heroic battle brothers of his chapter, Guilliman storms to war with a thunderous scowl. He clutches the burning sword of the Emperor and wears the hand of dominion, with which he can tear apart tanks and crush his foes with ease. Let's start with a fresh Raboute Guilliman kit, and for some reason a Captain America toy. For today's build, we will be needing the lower part of the toy. More specifically, the internal mechanisms that allow the toy to twist and turn at the flick of a switch. Here are the Raboute Guilliman sprues. Let's get clipping. For what I have planned, I'm going to have to hollow out the legs, which means getting rid of this leg strut. So let's bite the bullet and clip it off. Hollowing out the leg also means drilling a hole through his foot and widening the hole with a hobby knife. As you can see, it's now possible to thread a thin rod through the foot and leg. The hole has to be wide enough to allow easy passage and rotation of the inserted rod. I then build the upper torso, hollowing out the neck area and some of the interior connection points. More on that later. I then separate the upper torso from the waistline. This is so I can have the upper body rotate while the legs are anchored to the base. Now that we have hollowed out the legs and waist, it's time to test out our rod, making sure all segments slot into place with ease so that the rod can rotate without catching on any unwanted plastic inside. As I mentioned earlier, the inside of the upper torso was hollowed out. This is so I can attach the head to another rod, which will be connected to the waist and legs. This will mean that the head doesn't move with the rotation of the upper torso. I then glue the head to a second rod, measuring the rod so that it is roughly the same length of the upper torso. Here we have the fully built upper body with a repositioned sword, legs and decorative eagle head ruin, and finally the mounted head. As you can see, the head will sit in place while the upper body is free to rotate independently. To ensure that the upper body rotates in a predictable and stable manner, I crafted two runners out of plasticard, one slightly smaller than the other. Now it's time to cut away all of the unnecessary components of the rotating mechanism so that it will fit inside the model. I then use a strip of plastic crafted from leftover sprues to hold the mechanism in place, and drill a hole in the side so that the button can be attached to activate the mechanism. I then reinforce the mechanism further with some green stuff to make sure the plastic strip stays in place. The remaining green stuff is used to keep the torso and internal rod held together. I love it when a plan comes together. As you can see, the mechanism works perfectly, and the head stays in place. Using another strip of sanded down sprue, I create a button which fits snugly into the pre-drilled hole. Let's skip ahead slightly. I cover the mechanism by crafting a small spiral staircase out of some old plastic bits and plasticard, with some cork to add a bit of visual variety. During the main build, I noticed this additional element left over from the Captain America toy, so I thought, let's put that to good use. And what better use is there than to put in a sound module? If you've watched any of my previous videos, you'll see how easy these things are to use, with a play and record button, so you can make a custom recording. And a custom recording is exactly what I will use. So I recorded various sound effects, like fire, sword swings, and even a line from the cult classic game series Legacy of Kain.
Vae Victus!
Once I had all of the sound effects, I edited them into one coherent sequence.
Vae Victus!
The edited sequence was then recorded onto a sound module using some foam to soften the sound to make it less tinny. Now that we no longer need the record button, I clip it from the module, one wire at a time, to prevent the wires from connecting and erasing the recording by mistake. Once again, I take another segment of plastic from the remaining sprue. This will be used to activate the button on the sound module in tandem with the moving mechanism. Oh, that works beautifully. Now comes the fiddly part of condensing all of the components and wires from the sound module so they can be hidden within the model. But unlike other projects where I hid the sound module with some terrain elements, this time I will be crafting a special elevated base as a housing for the module. This was done by creating a 1.5 centimeter ring that will be sandwiched between two 60mm bases, like an Oreo, a biscuit base if you will. After a bit of jiggery-pokery, I checked to make sure everything fit together properly. I then drilled some holes in the base to help carry the sound. With all of the complicated parts finished, I wanted to make the base look a little more scenic. And what better way to do that than with some actual scenery? Clipping and cutting the scenery to fit the empty area on the model base, this would also provide me with a means to handle the model once finished. To make the painting process easier, I have refrained from attaching certain elements where possible. This includes the back piece and the terrain feature. All that's left to do now is apply a few licks of paint. But this isn't a painting tutorial, so I will see you on the other side. In the meantime, enjoy.
The evil forces of chaos have invaded Macragge, and only Raboute Guilliman can stop them. Now with swipe action and sound effects. Get yours now at all good retailers. Each figure sold separately, batteries not included.
Overall, this project was a lot of fun, in both the conceptualizing and the building phase. Working out how to merge the miniature and the mechanism was a challenge, but one that I relished and thoroughly enjoyed. Often in these sort of projects, I encounter what I call happy little accidents. One such accident was that some of the green stuff used to hold the rotating rod to the body would catch ever so slightly on the other rod holding the head to the legs. This meant that the head moved slightly in a downwards fashion, as if Guilliman was adjusting his gaze to meet his victim. It added a lot of character to the final build, and is, by far, the part that I am most proud of, even if it is a happy little accident. And there you have it, Raboute Guilliman with a twist. Why not try it yourself? A swipe action miniature with sound effects. As promised, I'll be holding yet another competition, seeing as how successful the last one was. To enter, all you have to do is like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment below. For existing subscribers, you just have to give the video a like, a share, and a comment. It couldn't be easier. Let's see if we can boost this channel to 100 subscribers. And if we do, I'll even include a runner-up prize too. The winner will be announced in 2 episodes' time, so stay tuned. Until then, cheerio.